ganito kasi ang problema ko kay Gordon eh. But having a senator at the helm, especially like you, even if the Supreme Court ruled that it is not against the Constitution if you hold the position of Red Cross, I think is unethical. And we have revealed why. Alam mo kasi, if the Red Cross is also a government agency, tapos member ka ng Congress, tumatakbo ka rin at nanalo ka, and you're holding the Red Cross, you're the top honso there, and being a senator, and at the same time, medyo malabo ata yung ginagawa mo. As far as I can remember, even before I entered politics, Gordon, hinawakan mo na yung Red Cross, and you control the agency like the way you control everything. You are so bossy, and I think that the true work of the Red Cross is not reflected in your actuations. Alam mo, ginagamit mo itong Red Cross, and I dare say na ginamit mo talaga ito para sa elections. Ito yung milking cow mo eh, sa totoo lang. You have been there for quite a time. Is it not fair to say now that bumitaw ka na and give others a chance at para mahinto na yung ginagawa mong kalokohan?
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The Healthcare Professionals Alliance Against COVID-19 is criticizing the government's, quote, half-hearted implementation of hard lockdowns. JC Cosico now joins us live from Mandaluyong to give us more details on this. JC, good afternoon. Could you explain to us the latest stance of the HPAAC regarding the government's response to the health crisis?
Standby, nawalan sila ng audio. Babalikan if ever. Okay.
Right, we're going to try to circle back later on to JC, but in the meantime, aside from overpriced medical goods like face masks and shields, the health department also allegedly purchased overpriced ambulance units. Senator Ping Lacson says that based on the data that he obtained, the DOH purchased ambulance units with automated external defibrillators at 2.5 million pesos each. The lawmaker pointed out that the actual price of these units in the records of local government stands at only 1.5 million pesos each. Though Lacson did not reveal the total amount spent by the DOH for all procured ambulance units, he did say that the agency distributed 98 of them in Calabarzon alone. That translates to 245 million pesos worth of ambulance units just for one region. Lacson tells News 5 that he discovered the supposed anomaly by comparing official procurement records of the DOH and the LGU, and he notes that the difference in the purchase prices are, quote, too glaring to ignore. The lawmaker also vows to have DOH officials explain this purchase at the next Senate hearing. This from Bloomberg. U.S. President Joe Biden says the recent natural disasters that struck America definitely prove that the climate crisis is here. Speaking at the White House, Biden vowed that he will push Congress to act on his Build Back Better program to make historic investments in the modernization of utilities and roads. That's in order to make these more resilient to these so-called superstorms and wildfires.
Past few days of Hurricane Ida and the wildfires in the West and the unprecedented flash floods in New York and New Jersey is yet another reminder that these extreme storms and the climate crisis are here. We need to be much better prepared. We need to act.
Over 6 inches of rain fell in New York's Central Park Thursday night as the remnants of Hurricane Ida triggered flash floods throughout the tri-state area. Meteorologist Rob Carolan discusses the details on Bloomberg surveillance. That's this in it.
Let's just talk about how historic the event of yesterday evening actually was.
Well, we're talking about a 1 in 500-year event, Jonathan. If you talk about just the pure statistics, there's less than a 2%, 0.2% chance of this happening every year. The rainfall totals for the Central Park are just remarkable. As you mentioned, over 3 inches in 1 hour last night. 2 hours, 4.65 inches of rain fell. In 3 hours, 5.2 inches fell. The total for 6 hours, 6.82 inches. There is not a pumping system in the country that could handle that type of rainfall in a metropolitan area. And New Orleans can't handle it. The only place we could have put that type of rain would have been into the Grand Canyon.
Rob Carolyn, you are the adult in the room, and I want to cut to the chase on climate change in a 1 in 500 year statistic. It's changed, hasn't it? Do we need to get used to this?
Boy, that's such a complex question, Tom. The big issue is we got to keep in mind that the oceans are definitely warmer than they've been in the last 30 years. These storm systems feed on warm water. We had a phenomenal flow around a really well-developed circulation with Ida. Because it was so intense going inland, it kept that circulation. There was a great connection of tropical moisture last evening and yesterday afternoon right up the East Coast, and then north of that warm, moist air, we had cool air. So you have this warm, moist air colliding with the cool air. You're effectively wringing out the precipitation as well as you possibly can do with a rainfall rate of, I think it was about 4 inches an hour at Newark Airport. They had half an inch of rain in 6 minutes' time. So when you're wringing the precipitation out that efficiently, it's just remarkable to see it. But this has happened in the past. Between 1970 and 1999, 60% of the flooding deaths have been due to inland flooding, freshwater flooding. When Camille in 69 went through the Central Appalachians, it dumped 20 inches of rain in less than 24 hours. That's the really bad thing with these strong hurricanes. Even though they're far inland from where they make landfall, they are usually prodigious rain producers, and that's exactly what happened with the remnants of Ida last night going across the tri-state area. Even into New England, we've had the south coast of New England pick up 5 to 7 inches of rain from this storm system.
Rob, but the thing is about New York City is that it is not an inland region. It does have the ocean right next to it. How much is the flooding going to potentially subside or get worse as the tides go about the day?
Well, the good news is the wind direction is going to be shifting around to the north and west, so that's going to have the tendency to push any tidal conditions offshore, so that's good news for us. In regards to local rivers and streams, they're certainly going to be up the next 24 hours, but we've got high pressure building in from the north and east. It looks relatively dry through the rest of today, tomorrow, Saturday, and then into much of Sunday, so we're going to get a chance to get those rivers up today and tomorrow and then quickly bring them back down.
Hey, Rob, good to catch up, buddy.
Circling back to our top story, as the Healthcare Professionals Alliance Against COVID-19 is criticizing the government's, quote, half-hearted implementation of hard lockdowns. JC Cosico is joining us live from Mandaluyong to give us more details on this. JC, could you give us the latest on the HPAAC's response, statement rather, regarding the government's response to the health crisis?
Charles, as COVID-19 infections continue to rise in the Philippines, HPAAC says the government's pandemic response is still not enough. HPAAC's Dr. Alina Espina claimed the government's COVID-19 data is conflicting with what's happening on the ground. Espina said political will is lacking in implementing strategies to contain the virus. She also insisted that imposing quarantine classifications are just band-aid solutions to this crisis. That's why for Dr. Maricar Limpin, she said the country needs permanent solutions instead. Still, they're leaving it to the government to decide on the next quarantine status. But Limpin suggested that quarantine classifications must not be implemented half-heartedly. HPAAC convener Tony Dance, however, clarified that they aren't looking for a fight with the government. Dance explained they are only doing this so that public knows that the country's health system is beyond capacity, primarily due to surge driven by the Delta variant. The group also turned emotional when they apologized for turning away patients, with hospitals getting overwhelmed. They also asked for additional equipment like ventilators and oxygen tanks as demand steadily increases. Meanwhile, despite the issues handling the health department, the HPAAC said it is not for them to decide whether Health Chief Francisco Duque III should resign or not. Charles, the HPAAC said they are tired with the ongoing health crisis, but they are saying that they will continue to provide care for patients. They are also urging the public to protect themselves and their loved ones as they expect this pandemic to worsen. Back to you.
Thank you and stay safe, JC. That was JC Cosico reporting live from Mandaluyong. Time now for a quick look at some of today's headlines. President Duterte wants the Commission on Audit to investigate the Philippine Red Cross, despite the fact that the PRC is an independent and autonomous non-government organization. The Octa Research Group is calling for an extension of the Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, or MECQ, in Metro Manila, as new cases of the Delta variant continue to spike. And the DBM slashed the health department's budget for next year, including the supposed funding for the benefits of medical frontliners. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.